today. We will start with a short video introducing the International Institute of Online Education, how it started and its mission. Then we will move to our opening speeches.
Hi everyone, my name is Mona. I'm a teacher working in a higher education institution in Africa. The economy in my country has been growing and transforming in recent years. It is reported that the information and communication technology sector in my country has grown by more than 10% in 2018 and will continue to be an engine of growth for the national economy. However, this sector has been experiencing challenges in recruiting skilled ICT graduates for relevant jobs. Working in the higher education sector, my colleagues and I are looking for professional development opportunities to build our capacity to develop quality ICT-related programs or courses that could equip our graduates with skills demanded by the fast-changing economy.
We need ICT-relevant courses.
Given this demand for professional development of higher education teachers, and based on the Belt and Road Initiative of Talent Cultivation and Cooperative Development, UNESCO ICHE proposed the International Institute of Online Education (IIOE) initiative. IIOE aligns itself to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. The mission of IIOE is to enhance the capacity of UNESCO ICHE's partner higher education institutions and their teachers for increasing and enhancing their students' access to quality higher education. To fulfill this mission, IIOE will, first, develop the capacity of teachers on ICT in education. Second, build the capacity and ecosystem of partner higher education institutions for online and blended learning. Third, provide quality online courses that are most needed by partner institutions. Fourth, establish a bridge between higher education graduates and competencies demand of labor market. Fifth, use AI for partner higher education institutions to improve personalized talent cultivation. Sixth, enhance access to quality higher education for female teachers and students and marginalized communities.
Wow! IIOE is indeed a splendid idea to support the higher education institutions to bridge the ICT-related skills gap in my country.
UNESCO ICHE, together with its international partners, launched IIOE in December 2019 in Shenzhen, China. In the next 5 years, the IIOE initiative intends to reach more institutions in more countries, to provide greater online courses for partner institutions and to offer more professional development opportunities for teachers from partner institutions.
Wow! Now I've finally understood how the IIOE initiative can build the capacity of my institution and teachers and ultimately contribute to my country's economic development with a skilled ICT talent pool. IIOE will support my country to realize Education 2030 goals by enhancing international collaboration in higher education, reinforcing knowledge sharing, offering quality, inclusive, and lifelong learning opportunities for all, and building peace in the minds of men and women. Hi everyone, my name is Mona. I'm a teacher working in higher.
Now we will start with the opening speeches. First, Professor Mona Abdelali, the Director of the Education Strategies and Research Center, Ain Shams University, and Director of the IIOE Egypt National Center, will give us an introduction about this session.
Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Universities, Professor Salam Radi, Vice President of NACAI, Professor Lu Shouhong, the Education Chancellor of the Embassy of China, Professor Mohammed Zain Al-Abidin, President of Ain Shams University, dear guests and colleagues, welcome to all of you in our session, The Power of Partnership for Enhancing Education, Innovation and Technology Integration, IIOE Egypt Center's role. Combining the use of digital tools with effective partnerships and collaborations in higher education institutions can enhance the learning experience, provide students with necessary skills and competences, and encourage innovation. In this context, UNESCO Aichi and Ain Shams University jointly established the IIOE Egypt Center in May 2022. They aimed to build a national network of higher education institutions and support the online and blended learning in Egypt. Constructing a national platform of dialogue for professional development of higher education workforce, and to co-construct online courses tailored to the Egypt's context and national needs, and to co-construct joint research on digital transformation of higher education and building local education industry partnerships. As of December 2022, 23 Egyptian higher education institutions have joined the IIOE, making a real example of the power of collaboration and partnerships. We will explore together some innovative digital tools, benefit from case studies at our partner universities and institutions, launch the micro-certification program, and introduce another very new topics and voice to our students as well. This session introduced also the ICT course for students that is a product of the first project of the National Center of the IIOE. Finally, I would like to thank all the esteemed professors and colleagues who joined us today to share their experience and knowledge, and all our guests who will enrich the session with their presence and thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mona, for shedding light on the collaborations and partnerships of IIOE Egypt and highlighting the importance of using innovative tools in higher education. Now, we will move on to the speech of Professor Jin Lee, the Director of UNESCO International Center for Higher Education Innovation.
President of Ain Shams University, Professor Mohammed Diab, Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Universities, Professor Mustafa Rafiat, Minister Counselor of Education, Chinese Embassy in Egypt, Mr. Lu Chunshen, Deputy to the Minister for Smart Governance, Professor Sharif Kiesk, President of Alexandria University, Professor Abdel Aziz Kansawa, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a great honor and privilege for me to address this esteemed gathering at the 12th Ain Shams International Conference on Partnerships and Alliances. As the Director of UNESCO ICHI, I am particularly delighted to be part of this event, given the long-standing and fruitful collaboration between UNESCO ICHI and Ain Shams University. Ain Shams University, as one of our oldest partner HEI and a founding partner of the International Institute of Online Education, IIOE, has been at the forefront of advancing educational innovation in Egypt. Together, we established the IIOE Egypt National Center in 2022, which has since grown into a robust network of 23 public universities in the country. This partnership has spearheaded numerous initiatives, including capacity building for digital learning and teaching, policy dialogues, and leadership symposia, significantly contributing to the enhancement of higher education in Egypt. Today's conference session, organized by the IIOE Egypt National Center, comes at a crucial time. The rapid advancement of technology and the evolving needs of learners demand that we, as educators and professionals, stay abreast of innovative approaches that can transform teaching and learning outcomes. This session's focus on exploring the power of partnerships in promoting effective utilization of innovation tools in education is both timely and vital. I am particularly excited about the launch of the National IOE Micro-Certification Program in collaboration with the Ministry of Higher Education and the Supreme Council of Universities. UNESCO ICHI is proud to support these endeavors through our programs, such as the IOE Micro-Certification Program and the 1+X Gen AI Literacy Program. These initiatives are designed to bolster the digital competency of higher education teachers and leaders, preparing them to navigate and leverage the transformative potential of artificial intelligence in education. In closing, I extend our heartfelt thanks to Ain Shams University and the IOE Egypt National Center for their unwavering dedication and remarkable efforts. I also extend an open invitation to more higher education institutions in Egypt to join the IOE Micro-Certification Program as we collectively strive to empower educators and learners in this dynamic era of AI. Thank you, and I wish you all a fruitful and inspiring conference.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor Jan Lee, for sharing your valuable knowledge.
We really appreciate it.
Now, let us welcome Professor Mohammed Zaid Abidin, the President of Ain Shams University, the hosting university of today's Congress.
Good afternoon and welcome to 12th Ain Shams University International Conference. I am glad to introduce and support this significant session, as a quality education leads to building humans, who in turn build and develop their communities. At Ain Shams University, our vision is having a global advantage in managing an innovative system of education, research, knowledge, and community service. As you can see, it starts with high-quality innovative education, which is the first step for achieving all other aspects. This mainly serves the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 4, quality education, but also it serves all other goals, depending on the specialization of each faculty. Our vision also aligns with Egypt vision of 2030, as education and training is one of its main pillars. Such quality education cannot be reached without continuous improvement and capacity building of institution and teacher. In addition, reinforcing innovation in higher education while ensuring equity, inclusiveness, and equal opportunities for all learners is another important aspect that should be always considered. This cannot be achieved without collaboration and partnership, as well as following and implementing the newly developed innovative methods and tools. Experience in this field need to be exchanged between different higher education institutions so that we can all reach our goals and implement the best practice that fit our aims and available resources. In addition, partnership and collaboration in higher education have the power to transform the learning experience and amplify innovation. Sharing diverse experiences, resources, knowledge, and case studies between institutions can enhance their outcomes and save years of hard work. Moreover, national, international, and multidisciplinary collaborations enable the development of extraordinary educational initiatives. Now I will leave you with our esteemed guests who joined us today to share their experience in this field. I hope you enjoy this session and benefit from it. Last but not least, I want to express my deep gratitude to Professor Mona and her amazing team for their tremendous effort, passionate work, and aiming for education development. Thank you.
your enlightening speech and for hosting this Congress and supporting our session. Now we will start the keynote speeches, which will be chaired by 3 esteemed professors. Professor Mustafa Rifat, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Universities, Mr. Lu Changcheng, the Minister Counselor of Education at the Chinese Embassy in Egypt, and Professor Sana Razi, the Vice President of the National Authority of Quality Assurance and Accreditation of Education. Thank you for being with us today. As for our keynote speakers, we are lucky to have 5 experienced professors and digital transformation leaders who will share their knowledge regarding the best practices, emerging trends, and innovative tools in the field of transformative higher education. Our first speaker is Professor Lim Cherping, the Chief Expert of the UNESCO IT International Institute of Online Education, Chair Professor of Learning Technologies and Innovation, and Associate Dean for International Engagement of Faculty of Education and Human Development, the Education University of Hong Kong. The speech is titled, Making Sense of AI for Higher Education, Teaching and Learning.
Hi, a very good afternoon, and good afternoon to the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am Shabik, and I'm from the UNESCO IT based in Shenzhen, Shenzhen, China. And I'm going to be just like talking through with you about making sense of AI for higher education in teaching and learning. Right, so I'll just check if this works. Right, so this would be the title of the conversation. It would be just quite a brief introduction to AI in higher education, teaching and learning, because after this, like the rest of the speakers, they will be going in depth into some of the issues and topics that I will be going through with you. Right, so I think we might actually see the starting point of the generative AI in higher education or in education, right, from this quote from a speech by the Assistant Director General for Education in UNESCO, right, whereby there's an emphasis that said that generative AI opens up new horizons and challenges for education, which means new opportunities, but at the same time issues and challenges, right? We need to actually urgently take action to ensure that new AI technologies are integrated into education on our terms. Right, so it would be, so in this context, we'll be looking into the higher education sector, right, and how AI could be integrated into the higher education sector. Right, so this would be the 3 key areas that I will be looking at. Like first, looking at the opportunities and challenges and visions for AI integration in higher education. Like moving very quickly into higher education teaching and learning and the impact of AI on teaching and learning in the higher education sector, right? And like moving on to the ecosystem that could be able to support those positive impact of AI in higher education, right? Looking at policy strategies and the emphasis on partnerships, right? So one like big partnership that you could see, right, is between UNESCO IT, right, and the IIOE National Center, and of course the IIOE National Center with the rest of the universities in Egypt as well, right, and of course outside the higher education sector, tapping upon the industries, which is really critical, right. The fourth one would be to support the HEIs in meeting up to the new demands of AI technologies within the framework of IIOE. So trying to be able to like demonstrate to you how we in UNESCO IT could be like supporting this particular push towards ensuring that AI in education is able to meet up with SDG 4, which is Sustainable Development 4. Right, the opportunities, challenges, and visions for AI integration in higher education. We take a look at the SDG 4 and we unpack SDG 4, right? You can see that SDG 4 is about inclusive and equitable quality education and lifelong learning for all, right? So with respect to the opportunities of the AI, we are talking about much better accessibility, especially when AI is able to personalize the learning process. Right, you want to ensure that there's inclusion, and you want to be able to improve that accessibility for all students, regardless of gender, socioeconomic class, or location. Right, and at the same time, as you're talking about inclusiveness, right, to achieve equity, you must ensure that quality as well. How do we ensure personalized learning at scale? Right, how do we actually create an engaging learning experiences for all students, right? And how do we actually tap on AI to be able to do learning diagnostic and to be able to provide precise support for our students in our classrooms? Right, and of course, with respect to lifelong learning, right, we are talking about how the students are able to learn with Gen AI, right? So it's not just learning about AI and learning with AI, but there is quite a lot about learning how to learn with Gen AI, right? So we want to be able to meet the learning demands and massive knowledge driven by AI transformation, right? In an increasing complex world. Right, so but with those opportunities, it comes with challenges as well. Right, so we know that there are issues of academic integrity, there are issues of ethical considerations, there are issues of the digital divide. With respect to those who have access to AI or no access, but with respect to those who are able to use AI for their learning and those who are not able to, right? So we are like talking about that second level of digital divide, which is beyond access to hardware and software, right? And of course, that imbalance and uncertainty in terms of the talent development, especially when we are talking about the pragmatic mission of higher education to ensure that we are able to supply or we are able to meet up with the demand, right, of like what is expected in the industries of our graduates. Right, the vision of AI in higher education, right, we could be looking at it with respect to the type of competencies that we want from our students, the technical ones, the ethical ones, the assessment competencies. But I think the key thing that we need to take note of is not just competencies, but also the mindset of the students, right, to be able to learn with AI, right, which, as I said, is really critical. Right, and the vision of AI in higher education, teaching and learning, then is that the AI must be a teaching and learning collaborator. That the AI must be able to be an assessment and the analytical engine. Right, it must be able to personalize teaching resources. It must be able to be a co-designer of a learning environment. It must serve as a teaching development coach. At the same time, you can serve as a teaching assistant and an administrative assistant for the students as well as for the teachers. Right? So we then, as a higher education sector and the partners, right, we would like to be able to co-create an ecosystem that is able to drive and support AI integration, right? To be able to bring together governments and policy makers, higher education institutions and industry partners, right, in order to co-create that ecosystem, right? In UNESCO IG, what we would like to be able to do is we would really want to be able to build the capacity of the higher education workforce, not just the teachers in the higher education workforce, but also the leaders as well as the support staff. Right? We want to be able to improve that talent development mechanisms by working with industries, right, to be able to provide the teachers with the necessary competencies to transform their curriculum. We want to be able to promote promising practices. We want to be able to build and strengthen partnerships and to create an ecosystem, right, in order to support AI integration. We want to be able to co-develop AI and higher education products, right, so that it could be able to better support teachers in the classrooms, right, and of course, what is really critical, governance capacity for AI integration. Okay, the impacts of AI on higher education, teaching and learning, if we go back to teaching and learning again, right, is that we have got to make sure that with the ChatGPT and the Gen AI that came out in November 2022, right, that there's a need for us in the higher education sector to really reconceptualize what learning is actually about, right? We talk a lot about student-centered learning, right? But I think with the Gen AI, we are actually beginning to see student-driven learning, right? So we do see the AI tools, especially the Gen AI tools, as student-driven learning too. Right, so if we are able to look at it visually, you are actually talking about how students tap upon Gen AI in such a way that they are able to monitor and manage their own learning. And we as teachers then would provide them with the scaffold, would provide them with the assessment task, right, in order for them to carry out an inquiry, in order to learn about a particular concept, idea, or topic within our disciplinary area. Right, so if we look at the Gen AI itself, right, it's adaptive, it is automatic, and it is advanced. I know that there's quite a lot of text here. I'm quite sure that IIOE National Center will be sharing with you the slides. Yeah. Okay, so do not fear. Right. So, but this is, at the same time, we know that there are those challenges that university face, right? Especially in the first 6 months to 9 months, whereby ChatGPT was introduced, whereby a lot of top universities around the world actually banned the use of ChatGPT within their curriculum itself. Right, so if you ask ChatGPT why universities ban ChatGPT, this will come out as something that we have been discussing a lot about academic integrity, ethical concerns, misuse, abuse, lack of human interactions, and that unequal access to resources. Right, so that would then ensure that we would be able to retain teaching, learning, and assessment practices. Right, so if you actually look at universities around the world, especially after June 2023, right, a lot of universities all around the world came up with guidelines, right, for specific assessment and instructional resources for teaching and learning, etc. Right, and things you could also see a lot of universities around the world actually rethinking the higher education curriculum, ensuring that there's the integration of AI into the curriculum itself. So we are not just talking about teaching and learning per se, right? But we are actually looking at the impact of AI and how it transforms both the curriculum as well as the assessment in terms of the assessment task that should be developed. Right, next, from teaching and learning within a course, within a program, we move on to policy, strategies, and partnerships. Right, so if we are looking at policies and strategies at the international level, I think UNESCO have been doing quite a lot of work. You have got the Beijing Consensus right before Gen AI was introduced. As I said, how do we integrate AI integration in higher education? Right, so what are the actions that we have got to consider? What are the policies that we've got to have in place? Quite recently, with the introduction of ChatGPT, last year during Digital Learning Week, right, in UNESCO, they actually launched the AI education guidance for policymakers as well as guidance for generative AI in education and research. So these are two so-called the resources that you could be like tapping upon from the UNESCO website. At the national level, you could also see a lot of policy strategies and guidances from different countries. Right, and at the university level, at the higher education institutional level, you could also see that a lot of universities all around the world. Quite recently, I worked with a group of really young colleagues, right, to really do a scoping review of university policies in Asia. So the top 60 universities, and like we could see that out of those 60, we have got more than like 50 of them already having policies of their own, right? So like those policies like actually include things like roles and responsibilities of different parties, right, in that AI integration process, the encouragement of course design and evaluation using AI, right, the co-design and alignments of goals, ensuring that when we are actually introducing AI technologies, it's still about trying to meet the curriculum goals. And of course the whole issue of privacy and ethics as well need to be included. And also that inclusiveness and equity that needs to be kept in mind. My time is actually up. Just give me two more minutes to quickly go through this. We in UNESCO IHE, we recently held a policy dialogue in Southeast Asia, bringing together ministers, senior education officials, as well as institutional leaders to actually look through AI policies that we could actually implement within our university, right? And we found that we need to take a more holistic approach. We need to take a more intersectorial perspective. So AI is not just about it's not just about we trying to make AI more intelligent, right? But how we could actually complement and have that set of competencies to tap upon AI, right, to be able to carry out more intelligent tasks. Right, and I think back to SDG 4 again, it's really quite crucial that as we are doing so, that we keep in mind the whole notion of inclusiveness and equity. How are we able to build the competencies of students who are always in that marginalized groups in the community, that we are able to ensure that we are able to upskill them and reskill them in terms of AI competencies. Right? So we talk about the policy and the regulations, we talked about capacity building, and of course UNESCO IHE recently in Shenzhen, right, we just launched the white paper with respect to integration of AI in higher education. So again, it is a white paper that you could be looking into. So very quickly, just to sum it all, right, I think what we want to be able to do in the UNESCO IHE, right, is to be able to strengthen that partnership and collaboration, right, to be able to build that capacity of the higher education workforce, right, and to be able to create together with the IIOE National Center in Egypt that policy and practice impact not just within an institution but across institutions nationally. Right, this would be something that my colleague would be talking about, the AI-empowered teaching assistant, as well as the artificial intelligence lab within IIOE. Right, and of course, we actually focus a lot on capacity building. How are we able to build the capacity of the higher education workforce? Right, and this would be the future plans. We would be sharing with you in this session about the IIOE platform. But what is really critical is that in order for there to be capacity building, there need to be policies supporting that capacity building. But at the same time, there need to be the micro-certified courses, right, in AI, right, that I think Professor Mona would be talking more about, right? And really like sharing with you how micro-certification would ensure that we are able to build a higher education workforce that is able to support the integration of AI in higher education teaching and learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Lim Chapin, for your very interesting speech and for joining us today. We are very pleased to have you here in Egypt. We would like to hear from our esteemed chairperson if there is a comment on Professor Chair's presentation and how AI can impact education. You have a comment?
Thank you very much. It's a very comprehensive and to the point presentation addressing the theme of this important session. And I want to ask you, Professor Lim, about the loop you actually presented about where the student sits on the left-hand side and the Gen AI sits on the right-hand side. And this is what happens on a practical basis. We all know now that generative AI is one of the facts that we have to cope with. And all the institutions around, they have issued actually how guidance for educators and instructors in universities, how to deal with this fact now and how to actually address and assess the students comprehensively with the vicinity of this important new dimension. And I believe it's actually developing very fast, maybe faster than we actually will expect. And I want you to address the idea of human intelligence if we overshadow this to the future. Because my understanding to the human brain as one of the we may say the human body is actually trained by exercise, which is thinking, and how students actually being not taught on the same exercise for their brain in the future, and maybe if they misuse generative AI, will the human intelligence be actually influenced by these new technologies or not? Thank you.
Yeah, so like, do you want me to address it now, or do we take a few more questions? Like, do you want me to talk through it now?
Okay. Thank you, Professor Mustafa. Thank you. Now let us welcome Professor Sid Funk, the Chief of IIoT Management Center, UNESCO IT, who will tell us about IIoT Powered Learning Platform.
Yeah, okay. I would just like to do so in 1 to 2 minutes. Right, so when we are looking at students using Gen AI, I think the key challenge, as what you said, at times is if the assessment tasks of the courses and the programs do not change. Quite often, the students would be basically using the Gen AI to be able to do the assessment in such a way that they do not need to use much of their cognitive competencies, right? So that would always be the danger. So, which means that we as teachers, we probably need to rethink how assessment is being done. Right, and as what you have rightly pointed out, quite often the issues of ethics, the issues of privacy, the issues of like being able to have that global perspectiveness, that ethical decision by making may be quite lacking in Gen AI. So I think when we look at Gen AI or AI in general, it's not about how the technologies but replace us as human beings, right? But how we plus the AI could hopefully be able to engage in tasks in a meaningful, ethical, and productive way, to be able to complete that task in such a way that it does not compromise human values and human principles. So I think that is really critical. So if we really just look into trying to ensure that students are able to understand Gen AI, they're able to have the technical skills, right, then we might be falling short because we need to be able to consider beyond that set of technical competencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lecture Pink. Now let us welcome Professor Sid Fung, the Chief of IIoE Management Center, UNESCO IT, who will tell us about the IIoE AI-powered learning platform.
Thank you. Good afternoon or good morning, dear honorable guests, and also dear professors and colleagues. And my name is Sid Fung. I'm currently the head of the IIoE, which stands for the International Institute of Online Education. I'm the head of the IIoE Management Center, based in Shenzhen, China. And many thanks to ASU and also our IIoE Egypt National Center to invite UNESCO IT and also IIoE to join such a prestigious event. The topic for my sharing today is on the IIoE, empowering educators in the age of AI. Alright, so for some of you who might not be familiar with the UNESCO IT, quickly before I jump into my core content of my presentation today, so we are an organization we was founded in June 2016. We were the 10th UNESCO category center in the world in the education sector, and also we are the very first education, very first category center focusing on higher education only in China. So our mission, leveraging new technologies, in particular ICT, and nowadays we talk about AI, to empower higher education innovation, improve the quality of education, and promote education equity as listed out in the SDG 4. So, but in particularly, in the past years, we have been focusing on the digital capacity building for university teachers from developing countries. So our majority of our tasks are in the form of programs, and also we have performed lots of joint research work with our partners. In essence, we are a global digital alliance. IIoE, which is a unit underneath the UNESCO IT, was founded in December 2019. As of today, we have over 100 partner universities in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, and 12 national sectors. And ASU is one of the, I would say, the best run national centers among those. And thanks to the effort from Professor Mona and her team. And we also have 30 plus enterprise partners. So if you move to the right-hand side of the PowerPoint, so IIoE itself is also a learning LMS platform. So it's the only learning platform supporting 6 United Nations official language within UNESCO. And also as of today, we have over 12,000 registered users. For the majority part are the university teachers and lecturers from over 130 countries. So we offer a variety of resources, including online courses, training, webinar, also micro-certification, which our Professor Lee Chun-Ping just mentioned during his presentation. So, back in December 2023, so last year, so we had this global summit in Shenzhen, China. So we talked about this overall IIoE strategy in the age of AI. We mentioned, we brought up particularly on the building AI courses with the collaboration from our partner university and also partner enterprise. We also mentioned the how to position IOE as an LMS platform towards a leading practice AI platform. So I highlight those in red because I want to spend the rest 5 to 6 minutes to talk about those two areas. So IOE platform. So the value of AI in education. So AI has played a tremendous role and also has a tremendous implication on the higher education. So if you look at to the left-hand side of the PowerPoint from the teaching perspective, the traditional way of digitalization leads to the automation of some of the tasks. So some of the day-to-day teaching jobs can only be expedited by the process of automation. With the availability of AI technology, more tasks can be replaced by AI. That means our teachers, lecturers, faculties will have more time to focus something else on the more value-added activities. If you move to the right-hand side of the PowerPoint, from a student learning or study perspective, so the traditional way of the digitalization ensures increased scalability. For example, more students can be covered in the teaching session, and also with the availability of the AI, so that means we can provide more individualized, personalized learning experience, which I will introduce in my later slides to our students. So here's the overall framework or architecture, if you will, for the IOE platform. So we typically will cover 4 scenarios, starting from teaching, learning, doing the exercise, practice, or assessment. So last year, December, we launched the IOE version 3.0. We launched this AI teaching assistant, AI learning assistant, also one-on-one personalized learning. For the second half of this year, we'll be focusing on more, for example, the knowledge map, how to use the AI tool to generate the knowledge map based on the course content, and also if you move to the right-hand side on the exercise part, how to use AI tool to analyze what our students did well, what our students did not do well during the exercise or practice, etc. And also on the assessment part, so we'll be also upgrading our platform with sort of AI generated question for the questionnaire for assessment, plus the AI grading. So from an end-to-end process from our IOE platform, so we are paying attention to those areas. Alright, so I mentioned earlier, so last December we launched this version we call ITA, which stands for the Intelligent Teaching Assistant. So on one hand, ITA provides a general knowledge service where the users can, for example, in the dialog box answer a very generic question: what is UNESCO IT, what is generative AI, what is ASU, etc. So the backend we connect to ChatGPT, so it will get the general answer from the ChatGPT directly. So the other thing I want to mention is, more important is on the ITA, personalized knowledge service. So for example, we pick some of the courses and we also, besides we upload the course content, we also upload what we call the reference material, articles, essays related to that particular topic to our proprietary knowledge database. So in that way, we can provide a more personalized, individualized answer response to our students. For example, in this screenshot here, the user is asking what is I'm talking about the one particular course, which is the title Deploy and Implement Blended Course. So that the student is asking what is blended course, and will get the answer right away. On top of that, for example, what is a course about, and then you will get the overall course structure, etc. blah blah. And also on top of that, we also be getting a source of information. That's kind of the material, reference material we have been uploading, feeding into our proprietary database. So the user not only gets a logically grouped, logically consolidated response from his or her question, he also is able to get to know which particular paper or essay provides this kind of source of the information. So I quickly flip through this. And also, in this example, the students asking question like, what is blended course? And we'll bring you the course content, structure, etc. And also the source of information was displayed as well. Right. So, National Center. So we had this National Center program back in 2 years back. We had expectation for National Center to perform, to build a national network of HEIs to support the OBTL and also construct a national platform of dialogue and a mutual exchange like the conference we are having today. Also conduct joint research in our educational technology and digital transformation of higher education. So the other thing I want to mention is our IOE learning platform is also suitable for our national center. So being a national center admin person, you can also upload courses, organize trainings, deploy micro-certification on our platform. Secondly, I want to mention is on the courses. So last month in Jakarta, we launched this we call the IOE 1+X GenAI course series. So one refers to one series of the fundamental courses. For example, the basic terminology, what AI can do, what AI cannot do. X refers to multiple series of GenAI courses. For example, we will be launching a series course for pedagogy, course for teachers in terms of how to leverage GenAI tools for the assessment. And governance, we will be launching courses for management team in terms of the governance, how to set up governance, how to address issues like the privacy, safety, the security, and also ethics, operation. There will be courses for supporting staff to monitor, teach them how to monitor the AI implementation on the campus. And also disciplines, so courses for the various disciplines. Teachers, professors teaching different disciplines, they have different need for the GenAI tools, and courses from the industry covering the business scenario from the multiple vertical industry, and also data science, case study, in particular collection of best practice. So we launched this program last month, and we will be having our very first launch event just 1 week, 7 days from today. So you're welcome to join the event. So we're having in our session, we'll be launching 3 courses at our first batch. One course will be on the AI in education, a journey through the future classroom. Second course will be how to use the tool to design engaging course outlines, etc. And also the third course will be on the prompt engineering, how to use prompt. Okay, so it will be take place 1 week from today. So you can also make a copy or scan the code to register and get ready for the event. Okay, thirdly, I want to mention the micro-certification. This was a program we launched last year. So on the slide here, we have this, we call IOE Digital Competency Framework for Higher Education Teaching Personnel. So we identified 21 competency items spanning across single teaching session, multiple teaching session, and also blended teaching, full mode session. So each individual competency item will be corresponding to one or more micro-certification courses. So our overall project implementation approach will be, we join the lab with our national center partners on those courses, and we also provide guidelines and on the flexible and customized solution for teaching personnel, including the defining the transferable competency items, and also we provide the standard evaluation criteria. And also in the meantime, we are into the facilitating the recognition of the digital competency building as an important part of the professional development, and also comply with institutional and national policy. That is one of the key discussion items we had last month in Jakarta for the Southeast Asia regional high-level policy dialogue. So on the right-hand side, I also wrote a very mini, small case study in the case of Indonesia. So we work closely with Indonesia National Center ICE Institute. They complete one course for the one particular conference items called Guidance for Digital Empowered Personalized Learning. So the course has been benefiting over 100 plus university teachers from more than 10 universities in Indonesia. And IIOE, we are also making efforts to communicating with the local MOE and also teaching training center about the mutual recognition of micro-certification certificates, etc. So, and last slide, so higher education in the era of AI white paper, we released this past January, and also the Cloud magazine is one of our flagship magazine, quarterly magazine, to capturing, featuring some of the best case we had, and also some of the research outcome we also had with our partners. There's also QR code you may scan, and also I brought some paper copies on my desk as well. You may feel free to grab one after this session. So that concludes my presentation sharing today. I think time is up. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Sid Fong, for the impressive presentation. We are very happy that you joined us today, and we would like to welcome you in Egypt. Our esteemed chairpersons will share their comments after all presentations because we are back in time. And now, Professor Ibrahim Maawad, the Dean of Faculty of Computer Science, New Mansoura University, will share with us his presentation titled Smart University as a Set of Smart Capabilities.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'm a professor at Ancient University, and not just a dean for computer science and engineering at New Mansoura University. It's my pleasure to present my talk to you, respected chairpersons. My talk had three objectives. The first one is to define the smart terminology. Secondly, to introduce what is called smart capability. Finally, to present a practical roadmap to convert your traditional university to be smart one. Smart doesn't mean intelligent. It stands for 5 dimensions or phrases. This stands for self-directed. To let the students expand the time, to let the students to learn when they want to learn. Secondly, them motivated to expand the traditional approach of educational system, to provide what is called communication cooperative learning or communicating learning. Secondly, adaptive, to introduce what's called personalized learning. Resource efficient, to expand the traditional content, to expand the textbook content, to have what's called the smart box, to provide what's called interactive book. Finally, T stands for technology embedded, to let the students learn where they want to learn. To this end, Smart University has 5 purposes. Openness. Openness means to provide an open access resources to facilitate the process of composing intelligent courses from open access resources. Secondly, technological effectiveness, like cloud computing, like artificial intelligence, etc. Third, the social organization, to provide collaborative learning, communication learning, to let the students to learn from each other, to let the students to learn and cooperate with their staff members, with teaching assistants, For the mobility, to let the students learn from anywhere and at any time. Finally, the accessibility, to let the students to access the knowledge, the information, the educational services from anywhere. Secondly, what's called the Smart University Reference Architecture. This architecture is called SURA. The concept of capability. This architecture has been developed by the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. It contains about 80 capabilities, 38 smart capabilities, 12 base capabilities, 16 enabling capabilities, and finally 14 capabilities. This architecture provides us a clear roadmap to transform your university to smart one. It starts with assess. It is very important to assess our university, to assess our status, from the current status to what's aimed to reach it to. Secondly, to design an architecture and to provide an action plan to execute the gap analysis gained in the assess step. The assessment step is done using what's called COMET model. COMET model is a huge questionnaire used to ask the top management of university, starting from the president, vice president, deans, vice deans, etc., to know what is the objective, to know what is the mission, to know what is the goals of the university, to know what is the current status of university and what are the aims that this university wants to reach to. According to the gap analysis, we use what is called TOGAF framework to design and to prepare architectural design and an action plan to implement the assessment gap analysis. The concept of capability, like in military domain, they use defense capability, attack capability. They don't talk about number of soldiers. To have the capability concept or to provide a service, you have a service and well-defined process and well-trained people and information systems like databases and finally technology, cloud computing, hardware, etc. Each of these components should be assessed from 0 to 4. The low scale is 0 and the highest one is 4. If we get this, or if we achieve this for our university, so we will have gap analysis to our status. The SURA assessment model consists of sub-areas of capabilities. For example, the smart capabilities has 6 sub-areas, like smart learning, smart assessment, smart classroom, smart support, smart campus, and finally smart operations. Each of these areas has many smart capabilities. And as I mentioned to you, each of these capabilities can be assessed using 5 components: the technology, the information systems, the people, process, and finally the service. For example, if we see the missing service takes 0 score. If we have just service delivered, it takes 1. Service defined, it takes 2. If there are metrics and KPIs that let us measure the service, it takes 3, and finally the continuous optimization for the service. In the same way, the process. If we provide a service without well-defined process, it takes 0. It's just performing, it takes 1, automated 2, defined 3, and finally, if I improve the process from time to time, it takes 4. Also for the people, if I have insufficient people resources, it takes 0. If I have complete roles, not jobs, it takes 1, etc. So the main idea behind this architecture is to have capabilities. Set of them are smart, set of them are enabling, supporting, and each of the capability consists of 5 dimensions: the people, process, service, information systems, and technology. As you see, this matrix is a two-dimensional matrix. The first column represents the capability areas. The second represents the capability. The last of columns, it's regarding to the 5 dimensions: service, process, people, information system, technology. So if we assess the status of some university, we will have a two-dimensional matrix like this at the end of the assessment. I was lucky 3 years ago. I was the focal point from the Ministry of Higher Education. We have a cooperation protocol between the Ministry of Higher Education and the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology to assess the current state of the public university. So we visited the 27 public universities. We stayed there for 3 days, and finally we have an assessment report for each university. The assessment report differs from one to another based on their vision, their mission, their goals, their current status. And by the way, these reports are sent by the Secretary of Supreme Council of Universities in a formal way to each president to just continue and to implement the assessment plan, to implement the high-level architecture, and I think we have many development in many universities. And by the way, here are just samples for the first report for each university, for Ain Shams, for Alexandria, for Mansoura University. This is the third objective. I wish you to be learn from my talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ibrahim, for the very insightful presentation and sharing your university's experience with us. We would like to hear the reflections and comments of our respected chairs.
Thank you. I have one question for each distinguished speaker. My first question will go to Professor Sid. Thank you very much for your time and comprehensive outline of a very important dimension. And I'm very interested about the micro-credentials and application you actually addressed, and how this fits with
whom, in terms of organizations and frameworks in China, encapsulating or integrating micro-credentials, and how
they are accredited and how they fit into your national qualification framework in China.
Thank you for the great question. So actually, in terms of the micro certification or micro-credential, we launched this, what we call the IOE digital competency framework for teaching personnel last year, based on a reference from some of the from China's Ministry of Education. They have a similar framework for the digital competency, and also we also consult with our experts from overseas universities. So in reality, in China, I think the micro-credential is not that fully implemented in higher education institutions yet. But we can see a majority of the K-12, like the primary school, secondary school teachers, they now do have this micro-credential or micro-certifications as part of their overall TPD program, TPD plan. So once they get the micro-certification, they can exchange for similar credits in their TPD framework. So that's part of the reality in China. But in overseas, since we launched this micro-certification program last July, and we have seen tremendous demand, or say more demand than compared to China. And that, in particularly, for example, in the South, we have this policy dialogue in Southeast Asian Japan lessons. We talk deeply on that, how to implement the micro-certification program, the biggest challenge is how to gain mutual recognition, how to incorporate our ILE MC program into the local TBD or polytechnic framework, so that more and more teacher professors are willing to take the MC course that gets in. So that's the reality. I would say overseas we have lots of the demand from the higher HEI perspective, but in China it's still gradually moving toward that direction. So that's my comment. Thank you.
I want to answer this again. The second question was to Professor Ibrahim Mohammed. Thank you very much. A very important dimension you actually addressed about smart universities, intelligent universities, and I believe as well these universities or this dimension will allow universities to be more adaptable and more resilient. And one of the important projects at the Supreme Council we're actually ambitious to start in actually how to link the current strategy of each university and its KPIs to a dashboard, and how centrally this dashboard could be connected on a ministerial level, so we can have information and feedback loops to have decision support, not only information system, but actually how these KPIs are actually redirecting the strategy, and how the strategy of each university is being on a very narrow cycle being assessed and redirected. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Mustafa Rifat. Actually, I insisted today to the concept of capability. One of the capability dimensions is information system. If we apply information system in our universities, so it will be easy to retrieve the data from the own information systems to build our own dashboard. Also, if we have well-defined process, well-trained people, so the data will be accurate. Our problem, the data, it's not accurate because garbage in, garbage out. If I use the idea of capabilities, so I ensure that I can build an intelligent decision support system that can help the decision maker our ministry. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ibrahim and Professor Mustafa and Professor Sana. Do you have any comments?
I have one comment about the topic of AI generally. So, as we see, it is endless opportunities, but also many challenges. And more emphasis about teaching, learning, and assessment. But I think it will be more beneficial also to focus on administrative process of the teaching process or the educational process actually. From my side of quality standard accreditations that would much help, and it is not yet focused on about the program evaluation, the analysis of the student assessment, and I think we need to, the idea of digital competency for the educator is much more important, yes, in our concept, in our context, because it is very challenging for us oldest than our students. So this was very interesting and illuminating. Thank you very much. You can proceed to the next, please.
Thank you, Professor Sana. Next, Professor Abdul Khayyat, the head of the Pedagogical Innovation and Distance Learning Center, ADIP, of Alexandria University, will give us a speech about open and innovative learning for sustainable development goals.
Hello everybody, it's my great pleasure to be with you today in this important session. Allow me first to salute the chairpersons of this session and to thank Professor Mona Zahri for the kind invitation. I also start by recalling a very important term that attracted my attention when Professor Muawad was presenting, the openness. We cannot be smart if we're not open, and we cannot innovate if we are not open, and we cannot support SDGs if we are not open. Technology itself is not enough. So my talk today is about open and innovative learning for SDG. I focus on SDG 5 because it's a real experience of Alexandria University that I would like to share with you. So, it doesn't work, Dr. Doyle. Okay, fine. I would start first by recalling what are open educational resources, and I would say that openness would go beyond the resources, as we will see in this experience. So if we are developing resources that we are leaving to other colleagues so that they can reuse, we are leaving to the junior staff so that we can guarantee the quality of the resources used, this means that we have resources that can be retained, that can be reused by others. Others can revise them and update them because, yes, they are licensed and everything, but we can give them the possibility to revise them and update them. Remixing of resources is possible, and then redistributing them with appropriate licenses. I wouldn't want to go through the different licenses like the attribution, share alike, non-commercial, non-derivative, and everything, but being open does not mean that nobody would give me the credentials of what I did. I can still have the credentials, and people would continue to say that Reza started this and then this was adapted by X, Y, and Z. OERs are of great benefit to learners because they learn to learn, it provides autonomy in learning, they access different learning resources, they acquire transversal digital skills because they use portals and they go searching for these resources in different repositories. It changes the forms of learning because it's not only formal, but it can be informal and it can be lifelong learning. Why not learn if I can have access to resources over the internet? Teachers do save time. When we use ChatGPT today, like colleagues spoke of this before, it's not that I cannot build my presentation, it's that I need initial support because I really don't have time. And all of us, with all the engagements we have today, we do not have time. Visibility of the educational resources produced, educational innovation also are, if resources are available, so we'll let people see them, and then we work in a flipped classroom manner maybe, and ask our students to interact later. I stress on the visibility part because when we started seeing the portals like OpenMIT and stuff, and the Harvard Lab Exchange platform and all this is very, very important for the identity of the educational institution. And I wish Alexandria and other Egyptian universities arrived at these points. Universities, then they can share the educational resources, they can better provide better support for new recruits. In fact, if I have my educational resources, my new assistants will be able to use them once they get their PhD, and it will be easier for them. Lifelong learning and visibility, they come again, and they are also benefits to the university. Now, how can we embed these concepts through learning platforms also and available courses over the internet, together with the concept of openness to support the teaching and the appropriation of sustainable development goals. Actually, we all need innovative pedagogy today in order to teach SDGs. In the world today, new problems and new challenges are everywhere. We need to adopt innovative solutions for these problems. And if we haven't been taught, the graduates and the new generation, if they haven't been taught using innovative content and innovative teaching methods, then they will be candidates that are not really good to contribute to solving the world problems and to adopt the innovative solutions. So we in universities, we need to start educating for sustainable development in order to provide the graduates of this caliber. So different reasons that encourage universities to be involved in education for sustainable development. Excuse me, I use the French acronym, EDD, Education pour le Développement Durable, but it's ESD actually in English. So why would we do this? Because we would contribute to a sustainable future with interdisciplinary collaborative approaches. We as universities, we will be leaders as a university that is socially responsible, that is working towards sustainable development goals. So we want to embrace this in universities, and hopefully we will make a significant contribution to local and global university. We need all to be more exposed in the university, ourselves, our students, and other employees and our potential employers. We need to get a greater presence for this. So, driven by all that I have advanced, we engaged in several projects towards education for sustainability, and I will share with you one of which is the Open to Sustain. Open to Sustain project is a project with little funding, I would say, that has been led by the University Bordeaux-Montaigne in France and Alexandria University together with SUS in Tunisia, together with Bagi Mokhtar in Algeria, Coimbra in Portugal, and the Francophonie Institute for Education and Training in Dakar were partners. What did we do in Open to Sustain? The goals of the project were to contribute to the adoption of the SDGs at the level of the university through an action plan for integrating SDGs. We, as second goal, to promote the development and adoption of open educational approaches. I have used the term now resources, approaches, and maybe what we have done through this project was the open educational scenarios, and I will be reaching to that. Third goal was to support the university's openness to its environment through the OERs and the open education. OES is also the open education scenarios I will speak of. So combining SDGs, innovations, and ER was an important, important goals and objectives. What did we do? We identified sustainable development skills and competences related to some of the SDGs. We then decided to work on SDG 5 because we thought that gender was an important thing, and gender also contributes to 4 and to all the other SDGs. And we started designing open scenarios to train our colleagues, professors, because we want the colleagues to do good in teaching in class with what we have named egalitarian pedagogy. So I cannot teach students a separate university requirement on SDGs, and I speak of SDG 5. That is an important thing, and I can go in class and give some work to my students, and I will say, well, boys will do this and that, however, girls will write the report. If we are in agriculture, for instance, in animal production, I would say the boys would go to the farms and do this and that, and the girls will come and do the presentation with a nice dress. So if we do not adopt this as a transferable skills in the teaching of all different courses, we cannot realize this. So our what we reached to was, as we need competencies in ICT, we also need competencies in SDGs to be embedded in all courses. Then we have done, this is the product, the specifications of a digital space, and then we produced a SPOC, it's called a small private open course, and we have trained lots of professors in the MENA region, and we had also some from Europe and Canada. We did the pilot experimentation, and we prepared for the submission of the European project that is already submitted, and we would like to build a bigger portal to reach all the university. The authors were basically from Tunisia, from Alexandria, and from Coimbra, out of the partners. And we had 3 basic modules. The first was gender and e-learning. We thought that we're doing more of e-learning, so we want the egalitarian pedagogy concepts to be there and skills to be there through the e-learning. Second was the egalitarian pedagogy, and the third was innovation and intelligence for gender, and we spoke there of the bias that we have in different AI solutions against gender, and we highlighted this. Some logistics, 12 hours of training, 2 to 3 weeks, micro modules, and collaboration and interaction. A variety of resources were there. Some of the screenshots that shows actually discussions over fora and contributions. And here maybe the thing that I would like to highlight here, and that we are really very proud. What we could do, we have developed open resources in order to launch this SPOC, but every single person certified through these micro modules couldn't be certified unless he or she contributed a scenario for egalitarian pedagogy. If I'm in the oil sector and I'm teaching this, how would I do this equally, giving justice to both genders? If I'm in agriculture, if I'm in ICT, and so on. And also, they were invited to contribute a video, which is an open resource also on gender perception in different academic careers according to their disciplines. I'm sharing some dates relevant to the launching of 2 sessions of this talk. And actually, it was managed as we do usually, synchronous sessions first to introduce the thing. We had 250 registered professors from the MENA regions and basically France and Canada. And we had 70 of which percent were women, but we had a lot of men also. Several discussion threads on the forum. We had only 35 certified, and I think this was a great success. The 35 certified because they contributed the open scenarios, the new case study they could build, and they contributed the videos. So, other perspective, we are reviewing smart tools for gender. We need an intelligent platform. That's what we'll be working in the second phase. Intelligent platform in the sense that it will be recommending resources and scenarios to professors when we have plenty of them. So we will be needing a recommender system. Also, the need of machine learning algorithms and AI will be there to do some trace analysis of the learners, some learning analytics. We had already 250, but we expect this to be growing soon. And we think that OERs and scenarios were very important this year. Here in the following 2 slides, I'm sharing some scenarios that were proposed by our colleagues. For instance, create solutions to end forms of discrimination against women and girls. Some policies in human resources, and this could be done with human resources students. Also, criticizing bad policies and practices such as unpaid care and domestic work, and we see this sometimes with women nurses. And the methodology here, the innovative methodologies will be debates and collaborative writing. It can work in different disciplines, but this was proposed by a nursing professor, and so on and so forth. There is no end to innovation. I wouldn't read them all. Content analysis was one for economics and political science students, but it can be on any media coverage that we have in our domain. What else was proposed? Undergraduate research as a form of pedagogical and educational innovation was very important, and it was proposed to be embedded in different courses, embedding we're working on SDGs. So undergraduate research, I would like to share with you that this work was submitted for an institutional prize to the Agence Universitaire de la Francophonie, which is the biggest university association in the world, counting more than 1,000 universities, and it obtained the first prize in Quebec in the last year, in 2023. To conclude and to comment, we cannot achieve gender equality and we cannot teach SDGs without innovation, without openness. Teaching SDG, like many other concepts, cannot be done separately. It has to be embedded in the methodology. I cannot teach entrepreneurship as a separate course if I don't tell students in my class how to provide value to their work. And we need to recognize activities doing this, provide egalitarian pedagogy labels to those who respect egalitarian pedagogies, acknowledge also students, and explicitly include sustainable development goals in the cross-curricular competencies of a course, create and share open, local, again local, stop consuming open resources from worldwide. We can produce excellent resources to raise our awareness, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Neda, for the powerful speech and sharing such a significant topic with us. And finally, we will end our keynote speeches with Professor Mona Abdelhamid, the Director of the Education Strategies and Research Center, Ain Shams University, and the Director of the International Institute of Online Education, Egypt National Center, who will introduce to us the micro-certification program, which will be launched with the collaboration of the Ministry of Higher Education and the Supreme Council of Universities.
Good afternoon. My presentation today will maybe answer some of the questions of our respected chairpersons and maybe in the minds of our audience. The micro-credentials certification program. This program will be launched today jointly with the UNESCO ICHI, the International Institute of Online Education, Egypt Center. I will skip the part of describing the IIE and the milestones of our project. I think my colleagues, Professor Lim Cherving and Professor Sidfam covered this part. So I will stress on this point only in this part, which our roles and responsibilities as a network. We are completely endorsed by the Egyptian Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research. We are provided with policy guidance from the Supreme Council of Universities. UNESCO ICHI provides us with the designing of project framework, developing resources, providing funds and technical support. And we, as the IIE Egypt National Center, organizes and implements the project activities, manage the project and deliver outcomes, and monitor and evaluate our projects. These are the logos of the 23 Egyptian higher education institutions which are partners through the IIE Egypt Center. When we talk about micro-credentials or micro-certification, it's important to remember that it is essential for teachers to continuously enhance their competences to effectively navigate their digital landscape. The micro-credentials as a concept gaining momentum in the education sector these days is a competency-based learning model that is increasingly promoted as a more flexible way of recognizing knowledge, skills and competences. It also gives learners the possibility to collect and combine small units of learning according to their specific needs in the form of digital badges and are often seen as facilitating lifelong and life-wide learning. UNESCO started this on a great webinar on 14 September 2021. They organized a webinar titled Moving Towards a Common Language on Micro-Credentials. The webinar was an opportunity to start the conversation on how we can achieve a common language on micro-credentials. In his opening remarks, Mr. Born Chakron, the Director of the Division of Policy and Lifelong Learning in UNESCO, stressed the importance of considering taking a learner-centered approach of micro-credentials focusing on equity, inclusion, equality, quality education and lifelong learning for all. Why micro-credentials? Because micro-credentials provide a competency-based learning model, provide tailored professional development for certification, provide on-demand and need-focused training opportunity and allows choice of courses for professional learning, and it can be recognized and validated, and it promotes continuous professional growth. The IIUE implemented a policy for implementation of the micro-credential program. It is based on collaboration, as it is co-implemented by the IIUE and the IIUE national centers, partner higher education institutions, and it is also based on localization, as the teacher professional development content is customized and developed based on the localized need of the IIUE Egypt National Center, and conducted in online or blended mode within the support of the IIUE2 platform. It also stressed on the institutional policy support for the recognition of the IIUE certified professional development or micro-credentials. The role of IIUE in this domain is providing an online learning platform and open resources repository, ensuring a catalyst and incentive mechanism for the programs, and providing an advisory consortium to guide the partner higher education institutions and their workforce, and finally to form a higher education collaborative network to prepare, develop, and implement the micro-credential programs. The first thing that the IIUE developed for this purpose was the IIUE Higher Education Teacher Competency Reference Framework, based on specific goals to identify key competences and decomposing it into accessible, scalable, and competency items. The reference framework is categorized into 8 fundamental competences, 6 intermediate competences, 5 advanced competences, and 2 teacher professional development competences. This is the framework. Okay.
Green bell. Okay. The number on the right side of each box represents the weight of each sub-competency in the whole framework. I need to... okay, I will wait. انتي بتعملي حاجة ولا أنا أكمل؟ يعني في حاجة بتتحصل دلوقتي؟ طيب. ممكن تجيبي لي الموبايل بتاعي بسرعة.
Okay. Sorry for this inconvenience, بس واضح ان النور اتقطع ورجع تاني، صح كده؟ I'm sorry. Again, this is the higher education teachers competency reference framework consisting of these competences and the sub-competences with the number on the right side of each sub-competency representing the weight of each sub-competency. The IIUE also provided some guides to the implementation of these micro-credential programs, like number one, the evaluation criteria for IIUE higher education teaching personnel digital competency. This is a guide. The other guide is the IIUE micro-credentials evaluation team construction guide. The third guide was the teaching personnel learning and certification guide. And the last is the IIUE micro-credentials course design and development guide. For evaluation of the micro-credentials program, each competency has application tasks, requirements, and evidence that teachers need to complete when participating in competency assessment. The evaluation of evidence is divided into excellent, qualified, and not qualified according to the specific criteria. The features of this micro-competency or micro-certification assessment is first that it is competency-oriented, practice-oriented, accurate assessment, and pays attention to differences. In the IIUE Egypt National Center, we focus in two activities regarding these micro-credentials programs. Number one, our localization plan to localize this program in Egyptian universities, and our plan for course development. For localization, the micro-certificates are to be matched and aligned with the institutional TBD programs. For the integration of the available courses, there are now 3 courses available on the ICHI platform: the design digital assessment methods and measures, the design and how to design and produce micro courses, and how to deploy and implement blended courses. These are available and will be integrated, and there are other 6 are coming very soon on the platform. Courses are available on the platform and that can be also migrated to local platforms of the local Egyptian higher education institutions. So your staff shouldn't go to the IIUE platform to explore and take these courses. They can migrate all things to the local platforms or learning management systems. And courses and materials and evaluation requirements can be edited and modified to meet the institutional and teachers' needs. And this is an important factor of flexibility in this program. Implementation within the Egypt National Center or the partner higher education institutions will be through a management team with specific tasks described in the guides, and an expert team also described in the guides with a specific task. For course development, as Egypt National Center, we selected some sub-competences to start with for course development, and the floor is open for all our Egyptian higher education institutions, our partners, to share also in the development. We know we have a lot of esteemed experts in our Egyptian universities that can share in the development of the courses to be integrated within the IIUE platform and form part of the competences needed for the micro-certification program. We have challenges. Yes, sure, we have challenges. The first is designing relevant and vigorous certification criteria, ensuring program accessibility and equity, fostering collaboration and community, but we enjoy this challenge, validating and recognizing informal learning. But we are ambitious that we are building something like personalized learning pathways, which is the future of learning in the coming era. Collaboration with educational institutions and experts gives much ambition. Integration with existing professional development initiative, and forming a long-term impact on teaching and learning. Thanks for your time, and thanks for our great chairpersons.
very interesting يعني initiative دكتورة منى as usual. وبرضو and I also want to thank Dr. Ghada for the Alexandria initiative. يعني we need more of these initiatives all through our higher education institution, I think, Dr. Mustafa.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. Although there is a scarcity of time, but actually I want to ask a small question to Professor Ghada, which was actually the open to access platforms and content. It's a very important dimension. It has been addressed by many institutions like Coursera and so on. And maybe EKB Plus in Egypt, one of the intentions was to address this important dimension. And my belief is that Egypt actually has a very powerful soft power in especially the humanities specialization and social sciences. I don't know if you may have feedback from the Alexandria University experience on the number of accessibilities and number of students who engaged in those two specific dimensions. Are we having a lot of interest into looking into content that is actually addressing humanities and social sciences?
Thank you, Professor Rifat, for this question, and thank you, Professor Rodi, for the good compliment. Thank you. In fact, as you know, the EKB initiatives is an initiative that's coming with resources to avail them to others. But the thing that we work on, maybe the problem with the Pedagogical Innovation Center in Alexandria University, that we work very much on a culture-changing issues. So this may be taking time. What was important to us is that a professor who had maybe the habit to come with his PowerPoint and does not leave the presentation to students, changes this and try him or herself to provide open resources. So we worked more on the professor than the student, and in this I would say that in our initiative, the most, because I work with all faculties, the most responsive professors were from the humanities sector, specifically from the Faculty of Arts. They were excellent contributors, and I would like in this regard to share a very nice anecdote. One of our professors in the Faculty of Arts, she knows that one of our late professors, Professor Mamdouh Mar'i, he was a very good pedagogue, he was a very good teacher. So she went to his family and she asked, we are in an open educational resources initiative in Alexandria University, would you accept that his recordings be on the portal? And they accepted, and they said, that's great, it's a Sada Agari or this. So these were the KPIs, what the professor did. But we didn't see later on, and we didn't measure, and I thank you for this, how did the students do this? And how did they spend time on these resources? And in order to do this, we have also in our syllabi and everything to refer them to the portals where they will find these resources. So this is a coming step, but I thank you very much for attracting my attention to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the speakers and all attendees, and I want to address a special thanks to Professor Mona Abdelal for having a very important dimension and important topics that was addressed today. To be implemented, and at the end I would like to thank as well Professor Sana Radi it was my pleasure and a very nice experience, and maybe I will leave you to declare the session closed with a simple note on our session today, please.
Thank you very much for the kind invitation. Thank you very much for our speakers and for Professor Mustafa and for the valuable comments. And indeed, I am always, like I am saying to Mona, I am always benefit from your events and activities. Thank you very much. And I'm going to stay to hear from the other session as well, and sorry for the delay.
Thank you. Thank you.